Hello, Instagram. Hello, YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Darci Legg, and today I would like to tell you about the 4 different parts of a soul retrieval that I do when I go under for a soul retrieval. But before I do that, I just want to remind you, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me and put them up in the chat box, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions at any time. Also, if you want to contact me at any time, you can contact me at my website. It's Darci's Healing Touch. And I would be happy to answer questions. If you don't want to put them in the box, I would be happy to answer any questions privately. So I'll talk about the 4 parts of a soul retrieval that we do. But before we do the elimination process first, is what we do. So we'll start off with, and I talked about the illumination online. If you're curious on how to do that, I actually did an illumination online. And I did a part of one online. If you want, I think it was last week or the week before. So if you want to see that, you're welcome to watch that. So I start off with an illumination. A basic illumination is what I do. And then once I do an illumination, I will start off with some drumming, go into a trance, either a drumming or use a rattle, and go into a trance. Once I do that, I will journey into the underworld. And there I will meet my spirit helpers. I have different spirit helpers that will help me navigate. One of them I actually have to go up to and get permission to do the soul retrieval before I could even do that. I will cleanse myself when I go in the underworld to do my soul retrieval. So once I have permission, then I have 4 different chambers or caves that I go into to get the soul retrieval process. Now, I'm telling you the way that I learned how to do it. If you know somebody else that does a soul retrieval, or if you do soul retrievals a different way, don't get bent out of shape. It's okay. We're all different and we do things differently. This is what works best for me, and this is the way I was trained to do it. So this is the way that I do it. And if you don't like the way that I do it, that's okay. You don't have to watch how I do this. I'm just telling you how I do this, and this works really good. And I'll explain the last one that I did. So the 4 different chambers that I go into, the first one is the chamber of wounds. So what I do is I go get permission, go into the chamber of wounds, and this is where I'll just wait and find out what happened to this person. I don't ever know what I'm going to see. So I'll walk into the chamber and I'll just wait. And a lot of times for me, it's like watching TV. I'll see a video or a scene. Sometimes it's like a dream of what happened to the person. And the person isn't always an adult, too. Like this last one I saw, the person was a 2-month-old baby. So I go in there and I just wait, and I just wait for what I'm going to see. And I just sit back and watch and see and observe. I have no feelings about it. I have no opinions. I just watch in the chamber of wounds. So I have permission to share the last soul retrieval that I did. So in this last soul retrieval, it was with a woman who was around 40 years old. She was a teacher, and when I went into the chamber of wounds, I didn't know, like I said, I never know what to expect. And I just waited, and appeared in front of me was her as a 2-month-old baby in a crib. And on one side of the crib was her mom, And then on the other side of the crib was her grandma. And what they were doing was they were discussing her. Her mom was telling her, was talking to the grandma, saying, the mom was saying something along the lines of, she didn't want the baby. She didn't know how she was going to take care of her. She was too young to take care of the baby. She was almost like negotiating getting rid of the baby, was what she was doing. And the grandma was talking her into taking care of the baby and watching the baby and, being responsible as a parent. And so the big part that I got out of it was the baby really did, even though you think babies don't understand, in this situation, the baby understood exactly what the mom, not the English language, but the baby understood the concepts, what was being said. So be careful what you say around kids, because they may understand what you're saying, even infants. So she understood the concept that the mother did not want her and that the mother was trying to negotiate and get out of taking care of her. She understood that as a 2-month-old, even though she couldn't put that in the language. She did understand that. So that's the chamber of the wounds, and that's what I saw. And what I do is I have no opinions about it. I just watch it like I'm watching a TV show, and then I go back and report it when I'm done to the client, let them know what I saw. And sometimes I have no idea what it means. I'll tell them, I'm like, this is what I see. I don't know what this means. Do you have any questions about the chamber of the wounds? Or have you had anything that's happened to you that you think you may need a soul retrieval about? Okay. So the second one, when I'm done with watching the chamber of the wounds, I'm led into another room or another cave, another chamber. And this is called the Chamber of Contracts. And this is related to the wound. And what happens is, because of that wound, usually you write a contract to help you deal with that issue, that trauma. So in this particular case, this baby, because she wasn't, she knew she wasn't wanted, or that that they were thinking about what they could do with her. She wrote a contract that she was not loved. So her contract, when I went into the Chamber of Contracts, and when I go into the Chamber of Contracts, contracts will come to me. Sometimes you would think I would just go in and see a contract in a book. I thought that's the way it would happen. But sometimes I will go in and a flower will come up and open up and there will be a contract. Or sometimes I will come in and an animal will walk by and there's a contract written on their back. So sometimes I get contracts, or, there's one time, what was it? Oh, came down out of the sky in a parachute and there's a contract. So sometimes they come to me in very, very inventive ways. So this time it was just, it didn't come to me in like an explosion or a different way. I think it was just laying there on this particular one. But this contract was, I am not loved. So what I do is I bring it back to the client and let them know, this is the contract that was associated to this scene of what happened to you. And I have them rewrite it. I'll talk about that tomorrow, about having them rewrite their contracts, or void it out, or renegotiate. I'll talk about that tomorrow, though. It's really interesting. So that's 2, the contracts. Number 3 is grace. Now, grace is the cave where the soul resides. And so I never know what age soul I'm going to get. A lot of times it's the same age that I see in the Chamber of the Wounds, but sometimes it's a different age. So what I do is I go into the grace cave, and I go retrieve that soul. Now, just because I go in there to get a soul doesn't mean I always come back with a soul. Sometimes the souls refuse to come back with me. And you may think that's odd, and I did at first. Sometimes they just tell me no, they're not coming back, they refuse. And sometimes they have a legitimate reason for not coming back. I've had clients that, not this client, but I've had clients that, abuse drugs or do stuff they shouldn't be doing, or stuff that, not that they shouldn't be doing, things that the soul doesn't want to come back. And I understand there's times that the soul will negotiate with me and tell me that they'll come back under these specific terms. And I'll tell them, okay, I will let the client know that and come back with me, and I'll let the client know that. And if the client says yes, then we'll reintegrate you into the soul. So that's that. So that's the grace part of it, the negotiation. And if you like what you're hearing with this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, or you're welcome to share this video. So that's the third part, the grace. Now the fourth part, the fourth chamber, is the gifts. And I love the gifts because I never know what's going to show up with the gifts. And for this particular one, I think the gift was just a mirror. So the gift is a simple tool that I bring back with the soul to help them integrate that soul back into their life. And it's a tool usually, and I'll blow it back into their chakra. Whatever I blow the soul back into the chakra, I'll blow the gift back into the chakra too, is what I'll do. So this particular one, it was a mirror, I believe. And if I'm wrong on this, I'm sorry for this client, but I think it was a mirror. And a lot of times with the gift, what we'll do is, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, is we'll figure out what the meaning of the gift is. And then along with the gift will come a power animal too. And they have a meaning for the power animal, and we'll talk about the meaning of the power animal. So once we're done with those 4 areas, I will thank my Waskar is the name. I'll thank my power animals that help me through the chambers. And then I will go ahead and cleanse myself. I'll take what I go back with me. If I have the soul that comes back with me, I'll take my soul, take my power animal, take the gift. A lot of times I put the gift in my pocket. Sometimes the soul will get on my back. I'll carry the soul in the arms if it's a baby. Just depends. And the power animal, sometimes if it's an eagle, sometimes we've gotten on the eagle's back and flown back up. It just depends. It's so we'll just cleanse, and then we'll come back up, and then we'll integrate everything back into the clients. And I'll talk about that tomorrow. That's a fascinating process too. So those are the 4 parts of the soul retrieval process. What did you think about it? Is it fascinating? I think it is. I think it's interesting. It's, to me, I never know. I've been doing it for about almost a year, not quite a year now, but it's no, not even 6 months now. But it's, each time I do them, it's different, so different every time, and they're fascinating because I never know what to expect when I go down. I never know what I'm going to get. And so each one has a different kind of feel to it, a different theme. One time I had one that had almost like a game show theme and game show lights. And it was like, what's behind door number 1? Instead of going into a cave, it was what's behind door number 1. And I was like, ooh, it's like a game show. So I loved it. I love doing soul retrievals. They're just as fun. Well, I love them for the fact that I've had them done on me, and I know how amazing they make me feel afterwards and how healing they are for me. And then I love doing them just because I know they're exciting and how it'll make the client feel too. So if you don't have any questions or comments, you're welcome to, if you come up with any questions, you're welcome to contact me. My website is over here on the right in the chat box, and I'll leave it down in the description too. You're welcome to contact me at any time. I'll do soul retrievals at any time. I won't do them on the first visit though. The only thing I do on the first visit is illuminations. I won't do soul retrievals on the first visit. I have to do an illumination first on you before I do. So, but I do have a deal. If you do an illumination, I will do a soul retrieval for free. So it's sort of like a buy one, get one free deal is what I'll do. If you don't have any questions, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to share this with anybody, welcome to share this. And thank you so much for listening. I will be back on tomorrow night. I'll describe the last process of the soul retrieval when I come back up. And we call that the Mesa proxy process, when we integrate it into the body and then we discuss it with the client. I can't wait to discuss that with you. Again, thank you so much for listening, and keep on sparkling.